Okay, so now we're going to clamp this bracket in, or not bracket, but the piece I made. So this one, clamping on this one's a little bit of a puzzle. So that's kind of one of the reasons I'm showing it. It's a bit of a puzzle to get it clamped right. So first thing I'm doing is getting this flange here where I want it. The one that runs down the side. And then the trick here is I take a straight edge, a ruler in this case, and I want to get this edge here this edge here straight. You know, it's right now it can go either way anyway. So use a straight edge here. Get it where I want it. It's a bit finicky because of the way it fits in here. It doesn't fit. It really only fits one way. And you got to kind of bend it and twist it around to get it to go where you want it. Just notice there's not a lot of light in here. Hang on. If I can shed some light. That might help. Yeah, that's better. So back to say, straight edge. And that's pretty darn straight. So there's several areas I'm worried about getting clamped good. Obviously this flange over here where it's got a straight line. And then it clamps up here, this flange, where it's going to weld on. And clamping that can make that move. And that's still good. Okay, that looks good. By the way, for those of you that might be wondering, the last battery box bolt is up here, battery tray. Nothing I cut out affected the battery tray. I've already fitted it in here and it fits fine. So just in case you were wondering. This line is not perfect, but it's darn close. Nobody but me will ever know it. And once you can't get in there and get an eyeball on it, when it's installed, you'll never be able to tell it. So that's good. We want to clamp the back, the two, clamp it here. The clamp Olympics, sometimes I call it. This can be a real, like I said, be a real puzzle. Luckily on this one, my smaller clamp won't reach. I can reach between the cart and here with this open jawed clamp and get in there. That actually works really well for this. So I'm clamping the back side down to get a nice tight fit there. Okay. Now I want to tighten the top side because the flanges are a little bit mismatched. You can't see it. I want to bring them flush. That's because this panel was actually made with a little bend in it. You know, went up straight and bent up a little. So I cut it basically right in that bend. Which is a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. In this case, I used it to my advantage to be able to pull this in line now. But that clamp, that pulls right down in line. We're still nice and straight. Our edges look good. This top edge, I think it might need to be tweaked just a little bit. Although it's still, no, it's still pretty good right there. So there's that flange. I think we're good. Inner edge feels really good. I might adjust it a tad. Might adjust it a tad when I get spotted in place. All right. Let me grab your camera and I'll show you what I've done. So here's the inner edge I was talking about with the straight edge. You can see, or maybe you can't, but it's straight. Same thing on this edge here. This is the flange I wanted to pull down. They're nice and even now. The two pieces where I'm gonna butt them together, butt weld. Same thing up these sides. Here there's a little bit of a gap up here, but I'll fix that after I start tacking it. Although, now that I think about it, I probably should do it now. I'll do that when I get the camera set back down. I only have it in one hand. Here is the hole for the core support hole. What I did here, kind of hard to see with the black primer. I just drilled a pilot hole. I decided not to drill the core support hole before I welded it in case it moved a little. I'm going to drill it a tad undersized and then use my die grinder to go around the hole and size it correctly to the fit this existing hole. These little holes here, these are the spot welds I got to weld, which I won't be welding because I got to drill through here, and there's still one more piece to go in here. The cut for the core support still has to go in there. So that's where we're at now. We're going to get this welded in. Let's start tacking. Something moves sometimes. If it's not one, you tack started where it gets to the sometimes it gets you can't put it on. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm tack up. I'm going to try to what you get. Look on the bottom. I can make up some half load. I can wait till we get started on the point. That way. And keep going. Here I'm just trying to adjust these edges to be a little more even. Having a hard time getting to it though. I actually need a bigger. I think a bigger dolly will work. That thin one's nice for small stuff, but there we go. That's what I did. I got that big dolly in there. When it got where it got on there good and all we did. That's easy enough to fix. That's what I was mentioning about when you start welding stuff and you get it anchored together. Before it's welded, it'll bounce and move around, and you know, once you start getting it welded, it's in place. You can't do that. So we will keep on welding. Okay, now we'll go back to welding. I took the advantage of the braking action to grind a few welds down just because I could get them out of the way. So anyway, back to welding. And yes, I am stitching this 16. I know it's 16, but still, it's sheet metal. It'll warp if you put too much heat onto it. So, yes. I got the heat up pretty hot. I want to get really good penetration on this. So, can't stay in one spot too long. It'll, you know, it's hot. Put it that way. Now here's a classic case of where I had a butt weld, and when I welded it expanded and it went and overlapped a little bit. You can't see my hands. It went from being a butt to it expanded and grew and pushed over. So instead of trying to brute force it, which wouldn't work, all you wind up doing is having a big bulge and a mess. I'm going to take a cutting wheel and cut it. Then it'll be, you know, have a little gap, but not enough to worry about. Then I'll be able to finish it right up. Those are vertical welds, so you have to be careful on those. If you just stick weld and start welding puddle, the weld bead will fall out because of gravity. You don't believe me, but it's true. You wouldn't think it would, but it does. Vertical MIG welds are some of the hardest welds to do and make them look good and be good welds because of that exact fact. Gravity will pull the weld bead right out of the weld, and you'll have a big old giant blob mess looking thing there. Okay. This edge here feels good. I can weld it up. This corner here could use a little bit of work, but I don't believe there's not a lot I can do to it. It's where the two it's where the two pieces where I cut, where the bend radiuses are just a little bit different. Once I grind it and weld it, nobody but me, once again, nobody but me will ever know it was like that. We're getting there. Okay. Oh, let me get these bottom welds. I forgot about them. I was waiting until I got it welded in so I could dress this lower flange, make it good and tight. Now I can. And it's spitting on me some. That's the weld through primer. It does it sometimes. I don't like it, but I'd rather have the weld through on there than not on there. Although I know this is galvanized, so. But I did it, so I did it. I'm going to grind this weld down, this partial plug I put in here. It's kind of in my way, big nasty blob. I'm gonna grind it down before I finish that plug. This one's fine. I just welded it. It's all right. Let me cut this edge right here. I guess I could grab the camera and show you what I'm talking about. This edge here, which is still hot, I figured that was going to happen. This edge here was really tight. Oh, let me back out. This edge here was very tight to start with. When I started welding, it expanded and pushed under this other edge. Now, to get them, what I'm trying to say is, I think you understand, there's two edges, one above the other. There's no way I'm going to be able to make it butt, flush, smooth, in line. One be here and not lapped under here. So the best thing to do now is just to cut it right here. That'll relieve the stress on it, and I can clamp it back in line and weld it right up. Be just fine. There. That's all that took. Now I can get it clamped flush just like I want it. It'll be just right. Goldilocks. Okay. The first thing I'm gonna do is get the outside edge, which actually still wanting to fight me a little bit. It's got a radius on it too. That piece that it's matching up to, so that's also making a little bit of a issue. Alright, that's not wanting to work, so let me do it the other way. I'll start from the inside out. That way I can walk it over where I want it. Another case of getting it welded solid, and then you can work the seam across the joint. Whereas when it's loose, it's bouncing up and down still. And don't forget, George, this is hot. No, my name is not George. My dad would call me George when I was a kid, so I still do it to this day, call myself George. It's a joke. It's not, yeah. All right, now we're getting there. Also, one thing I did on this edge, the piece I made when I bent the channel, I had to bend that channel piece. I was talking earlier about when you bend stuff, how bend radiuses and where you bend them are critical as to getting things the proper width. Again, if I had a whiteboard, I could draw it out. But I got this channel just a fraction too wide. I'm talking like a 32nd of an inch, maybe. Well, yeah, so between 30 and 60 thousandths, which is basically 60 thousandths is basically a 16th of an inch. Anyway, I got it maybe 30 thousandths too wide, so it's this channel edge, this edge lip is just a little bit too wide, and I kept staring at it. It was bugging me, so I split this edge so I could tap it in. Now I tapped it too much. There we go. So I could tap it in to match. And yes, there'll be a slight little curve in this outside, but once again, nobody but me is going to ever know it. So that's one of those cases I didn't want to do. I didn't like it, but it had to be done. Or I had to split the thing apart and re-weld it, and I didn't want to do that. Something that's non-critical like this, as far as looks goes, nobody's ever going to see it but me. I felt it was an okay shortcut. Ow! Still hot. I'm just trying to use this as like a dolly to get in there where I want it. I'm not being overly picky, but that's who I am. Alright, here we go. Alright, there we go. All welded. Except for that spot. Let me grind that weld and finish that up. Alright. Okay, well I got 2 more spot welds here to weld up. Let me get those welded. Plug welds rather. The clamp's it's not gonna hurt, so I might as well do it. There's a bit of a gap there, so that'll squeeze it up. Get the other one. Okay. Alright, now we're all welded up. Again, I'm not welding spot welds in the bottom. Now I can show what I was talking about earlier. The piece, I think you can see it, the piece for the core support that I had to remake, which I haven't welded together yet, makes a little cut. I was waiting until I got this welded together so I could fit this in here. It's kind of a critical fit. If I get this in the wrong place, it's not going to fit right. So I wanted to have this all welded up before I put this back together. Just an easier way for me to do it, make sure it fits. This hole, this hole here for the mounting hole got to fit the hole in the bottom and yada yada yada, and it was easier just to do it that way. Anyway, those holes, these spot weld holes were drilled through this plate I just welded in, welded into that plate. So you weld in 2 layers to the 3rd layer. If that makes sense. Hello, whiteboard. Let me grind a weld or two. I get a little bit, not real bad. I got that. Okay, we're all welded up. I'm just checking some of these edges with a file if I can. It'll take about a minute. It takes that rough ground edge away. I've already done this one. It's not perfect. It's also good for knocking off weld slag. Right down into here. Put about 99% of that weld slag right off. You can't get a grinder to or whatever. Okay. There we go. So there we are, welded in, ground down. Got these edges like I like them, like I said with the file. This little edge here, there's a slight, I mean very slight little pucker in it or both. But I've got it feathered together real nice and blended it with a dolly. You can't tell. I mean, I know it's there. There's a little bit of a mismatch here between the two corner radiuses like I was talking about. If this was on the exterior of the vehicle, I'd either put weld bead in there and dress it on down or put some body filler in it. Not going to do that here, don't need to. So this is done. What I got to do now is drill these holes, drill the spot holes, plug wheel holes, and then get this piece in here. You can see how it's got kind of a weird fit on the bottom. Where I welded. That's not factory type, so although I think the bottom of, get off of me. Some kind of giant bug in here. I think this will sit proud of that, I believe. So anyway, I got to work on this next, get this fitting, drill this hole out. So there's some tedious stuff to do before I come back. That's what I'm doing next, is getting this put together. Once I get that put together, then I can prime this. Still got to weld this section in over here where I primed it. I have that piece done. This piece I have to prime the back, this, before I can weld it in. So when I prime that, I'm gonna try and prime this stuff over here too. Anyway, that's it for today. What I'm doing now, I drilled the hole for the core support mount and the bracket I welded in. It's basically a 7/8 hole, and I was worried if I drilled it with a hole saw at the exact same hole size, I wouldn't get it exactly the same, which I probably would not have. So I actually drilled it a 1/16 smaller hole saw. Instead of 7/8, I drilled it with a 13/16 that I had. That put it almost exactly the right size. So all I'm doing now is taking my die grinder and using the hole on the outside as a template. All I got to do is just lightly go around and clean it up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drill these holes out. I'm going to go ahead and drill these spot wheel holes out. I always try to use cutting oil, which is already on the drill bit, but makes your drill bits drill a lot better and last longer. Actually, I'm gonna set this in the floor. That's 16 gauge, and I got 5 holes to drill. So you just get more leverage. You know, with it sitting on the ground and drilling, using your body weight, big core, all that stuff. That just makes it so much easier. Obviously, a good sharp drill bit, you know, also helps. But cutting oil really makes a difference. It really does. If you don't use cutting oil when you drill, you should. I mean, that was 16 gauge. Those bits are not new, just your average, you know, black oxide, I believe, drill bit. I don't think it's anything fancy. And it went through it pretty easily. A lot of that's because of the cutting oil and taking care of my bits by using cutting oil. I've got one more hole I've got to add here. Get the cutting oil off. Use the residue of it. I've got to add one more hole up here for that. Well, actually, I'm going to wait till I get it fitted because I'm not. Well, I can do it. I think I can do it now. I got the bottom piece of that bracket I got to put in the mounting cup, which pretty much fits right where it's supposed to. So yeah, I can put. There's another spot weld that needs right up here. Because these two out here don't reach the bracket, which I welded through, and I shouldn't have. Darn. Well, that's my bad for doing that. I wasn't supposed to weld through those, drill through those two. Darn. Well, I'll weld them up now. Because they don't even come close to the bracket. Alright, well, that's a mistake I made, for sure. Oh well, I get to weld those back up, which I would have welded them anyway, but anyway, I need one more right there to catch that cup for the core support. And I get to weld those two up. Yay, yay me. So, anyhow. I knew that, darn it, I completely forgot. Oh well, everybody makes mistakes. At least in this case, I can weld it back up. Be no worse for the wear. Normally I'd drill the spot, I would center tap this, center punch it I mean, but it's not a critical location. I'm alright, this bit's are new. So in that case, I didn't drill a pallet. I mean, I didn't use a cutting oil to make a center punch. You know, it's only an 1/8 inch bit. I probably should have. I just didn't. But on this one, I definitely will use cutting oil. since I messed up and drilled these 2 holes all the way through when I shouldn't have, I'm going to go ahead and weld them up now before I fit that inner cup, because the plates are squeezing together. When I weld them and I let go, they're opening up, because when I drill the holes, what's the word? When you drill through the slag, for lack of a better term, it's not the right term, on the other side pushed apart the 2 panels. And I don't want to weld them that way. I want to clamp them back together. So that's why I'm doing this now, so I can get to them. It was a mistake on my part, no doubt, completely. But I'll fix it. And then when I get them tacked together, I'll show you how I'm going to actually weld the hole completely up, so it won't be such a big mess to have to weld up. First, I'm just tacking. Well, not tacking. I'm welding the 2 edges together inside the hole. That's what I'm doing, so they can't open up anymore. And I can't get to any better. Please. I got that one good. This top one, clamps are kind of in the way. See if I can get to this other side a little bit better. Yeah, that was better. I guess I could go ahead and finish it up. I need to grind the primer off of it. Normally what I do is put my, well, I'll show you. I'll follow through with what I was originally going to do. So let me grind this right quick. I'm not that concerned about this side, because I can easily get the grinder on that and grind it down. But on the inside, I want to have as little grinding as possible. So I gotta grind one spot in here. Hang on a second. You can't see this, but just trust me. It's just a little bubble snuck through. I want to grind down. So to keep from being a big mess coming through the back side, I think I've showed this before. I use this copper backing tab plate thing I bought. I'm not even sure what it's who's make. Well, the name on the side of it is, look, it's VIMF maybe. Anyway, I got it probably off of Amazon well, actually quite a number of years ago. I'm sure you can like search for copper, copper welding fixtures or backing pads or something, and it'll probably something like this will pop right up. Or just get your own copper sheet, tubing, whatever, and make your own. Anyway, it's got a magnet. you slid it on the hole you want to weld up, and it backs the hole up so all the weld and the wiring doesn't bleed, come through. If you've ever welded holes with a MIG, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You are acting awful, not cooperating. So anyway, this isn't actually a bad spot for this little doodad. Normally you get it pretty tight. Because this piece is in an angle, it's not really doing as good as it normally would. That might be better. There. That's better. So, well, no it's not. Alright, I'll just do the best I can with that one. It's gonna, as long as it keeps the wire from blowing and the big weld puddle from blowing through, that's all I'm really worried about. And it should. So let me weld that one up, the back one first. I want to make sure I weld all the way through and get both layers completely full. Okay, that one looked good. Now we'll do the top one. I'll show you the back side here when I get it apart. Now let's weld the other one. Okay, that looks good from that side. The back side I got to touch up just a little bit. While I got this side here, let me go ahead and grind it down. Since I'm here, and I can. Here on the inside, you can see it came through a little bit. Back out. It came through a little bit, but not a lot. There's a little hole left in this one. But if I'd have welded that way out in the back, and there'd be wire and weld beads blobbed up under here everywhere. This all I got to do is just touch it up, touch it with a grinder, weld the little bit of hole that's remaining. It'll be all good.